Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to give you my review for the PS4 version of Detroit Become Human, the brand new game released just a few days ago by Quantic Dreams. Now, I've been a big fan of Quantic Dreams and their style of gaming for many years, and I've played all their previous games right back to Fahrenheit, it was called in the UK. And I've played Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, and I have enjoyed all of them to a certain degree, and I got a great deal out of them. Even Beyond Two Souls, which a lot of people don't tend to have a lot of time for, I really quite enjoyed that game as well. So I've been looking forward to playing Detroit Becomes Human ever since it was shown clips of last year before, whenever it was, at E3 and stuff. It looked like a game that was definitely interesting and one that I wanted to play, because I'm at that age now where I really like to play cinematic games, games that really immerse you, and it almost feels like you're in a movie. The can at times be quite relaxing to play. I don't want to just run around shooting things all the time. And while I do agree that games like this, granted, are not for everybody, there is a certain gamer out there that really does appreciate this style of game, and it really is very cinematic and very immersive. And for those of you that don't know, this game essentially focuses very heavily on choices and the consequences of those choices, and you are in complete control of the choices that you make in a game like this. And this game, Detroit Become Human, focuses on essentially three androids. We have Connor, who you can see on screen now, there is Kara, and there is Marcus, and they all have their separate stories that eventually end up becoming one. And when you play the game, you'll understand how that happens. Now, Connor, as you can see on screen now, he is basically an android designed, is a prototype designed to assist the police, and is specifically a police detective who in the game is played by Clancy Brown, who you will recognise from movies like The Highlander, and he's done a lot of voice work as well. And what is happening in this game is a lot of androids are malfunctioning, and they are called deviants. And Connor and the detective Clancy Brown's character are assigned the case, and they have to try and figure out what is going on with these androids, why they are becoming deviants, and why they are essentially turning on their human masters. So that's his story arc. His job is to basically find out what is going on and why these androids are turning deviant. So he has the ability to, a bit like the Arkham games, he can detect crime scenes, solve clues, and all that kind of good stuff. And he has a very interesting story arc. The second character that you get to control in this game is a character called Marcus. Very interesting character who ultimately becomes the leader of the androids and the rebellion against humankind. And he starts off at the game, he is caring for an elderly character who's played by Lance Henriksen, who you will recognise from many a movie. And he is cared for very much by Lance Henriksen, who kind of treats him like a son, and encourages him to think for himself, and to have freedom of thought and to be creative. Things don't go quite well, and Lance Henriksen's son interferes, it all goes wrong, and Marcus ends up basically kind of thrown on a scrap heap. He claws his way back, and he decides to start a revolution against humankind, and that's his kind of story arc. And the third character that you get to play as in this game is a character called Kara, who is essentially in place to care for an abusive father's daughter, Alice. So she's taken home, she's given menial tasks to do, and all in the while she observes him being an abusive father to the daughter until she can't take it anymore, and she decides to be protective of Alice and her story basically throughout the game is her trying to get Alice safe and to protect her in the best way possible. And hers is almost like the most human story, because she's so desperate to mother this child and keep her safe that her story arc essentially is just running around keeping her safe in all different scenarios. So you've got three very different characters, all kind of wanting the same thing, all wanting free thought, freedom from human slavery, basically. So that's the general gist of this story. Now, when you play this game, the references here to, you know, past human mistakes, i.e. slavery and all that kind of stuff, it's not subtle in its message, this game. And you can either see that a positive or a negative. They're just telling it from a different angle, and the angle of the androids. So, like I say, you can see that as positive or a negative. I mean, it's very, very difficult to do something original with a story like this. And what this game tends to focus on, it pulls a lot of ideas from a lot of science fiction things. Like I say, the Humans TV show. There's so much. There's even Westworld. There's Blade Runner. There's so much that it can pull on in regards to the sci-fi world, and it kind of borrows subtly from a lot of them. And it creates its own story. Now, what I will say about this game is, because I've played all the other Quantic Dreams games, and they've always been choice heavy, and there have been a number of consequences for those choices. What I have noticed with this game is there are so many different paths you can take and so many choices that you can make. I've completed it now for the first time, and I immediately want to go back and play it again and do different choices, because at the end of each chapter, and some of the chapters last, I don't know, between 15 and 25 minutes long each, kind of, maybe a little bit longer, give or take. And at the end of each of those chapters, it shows the decisions that you make, and you can see what other paths you could have taken, even though it doesn't reveal what they are, but it shows you that there were other paths. And some of the chapters, it just blows your mind, because you might have come out of a chapter absolutely delighted with the choices that you made, and then look back and see how many other choices were possible in that chapter, and what other directions it could have gone in, which you've never really had in the other Quantic Dreams games. They all kind of felt reasonably linear, even though you did have choices in them that you could make. Now, I found this game really, really creative in that sense, and really freeing in a sense that the choices that you made really did have an impact on this game. And I only went back once. At the end of each chapter, you could go to the main menu and replay that chapter if you weren't completely happy. And I only did that once, and I kind of regretted it, so I didn't do it again. And the ending that I eventually ended up with in the game, I was really pleased with. There was a number of things I wished I could have changed. There was a number of things I may have done differently. Some characters I may have wanted to keep alive, but ultimately the outcome that I got I was pleased with, so I was really pleased with my first playthrough. But I really am interested in seeing where else I could take this story, what other consequences some other choices might make. So I'm definitely going to go delve straight back into this game and play it again. I would say the first playthrough has probably taken me about 15 hours, but I've kind of taken my time. I've explored each area in each chapter, and so I think it's short enough for you to want to jump back in. It's not overly long, so I think it really is primed and ready for you to keep wanting to go back in. And honestly, after all the other Quantic Dreams games that I've played, even though I have played Heavy Rain a couple of times, and I have played Beyond Two Souls a couple of times, I've never really wanted to go over them just to see how differently I can play it. Whereas this, I know the next time I play it, it's going to be vastly different than the first time. In regards to negatives for the game, I'm not keen on the controls. They're a bit sluggish, a bit janky. I wasn't keen on the camera and the controls. Some choices that you made that you thought made complete sense could turn out to be really drastic decisions, and it didn't really give you any warning. I'm not sure I was keen on that. But other than that, those are my only real negatives. I think what they've created here is a really, really immersive, deep, interesting game. That very, very great, well-written story, and one that I was absolutely intrigued to see how it was going to turn out. I think they've created something pretty special here, Quantic Dream, and they have essentially perfected all the mechanics they've been working on as far back as the Fahrenheit game. And as each game has gone on, they've tried to improve and perfect on the formula, on the system, and I think they're pretty much there now with this one. You still get quick time events in this game, but they feel a bit more immersive, a bit more important in this game. I'm kind of not overly keen on quick time events, but they're not all the time in the game, and they don't spoil it, and they're actually pretty good. The best ones yet in the Quantic Dreams games, I would say. So there you go, guys. Detroit Become Human on the PlayStation 4. If you enjoy the Quantic Dreams games, you're definitely going to get a lot out of this game. I think it is a little bit overpriced for what you get with the game, considering it's really essentially an interactive movie. So if you want to wait for a sale, I would imagine that, in the next month or two there'll probably be a sale. It'd definitely be worth it with a 15 quid off the price easily. But for me, I'm really, really pleased with what I've got with this game. Really interesting subject matter. I think it's clear that a lot of time and a lot of love and affection has gone into this game, and I really do appreciate what they've given us. I think it's close to being a masterpiece, this game, and I absolutely loved every minute of playing it. Really, really enjoyed it, guys, and I highly recommend you give this a go if you want to play something new, or if you enjoy these type of games in general. So thank you very much for watching.